think your watch needs to be adjusted.
All right.
Nope.
It is 6:02 on Monday, July 28th, 2025. This is the Franklin Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. I am calling the meeting to order and taking attendance here. So Anne Maria Klubgia,
Present.
Amanda Pound,
Here.
Christopher Dahl,
Here.
Terrence Barris,
Here.
Lauren
Rosso.
Rosso. Thank you.
Here.
I always use Rosso.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's easy enough.
Yeah.
And Lauren?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks.
Alan Alexandrovich.
Here.
Mike Karalevitz.
Here.
Jason Craig.
Here.
Okay, and then we also have Jennifer Lawful here, and there is no public, but we do have a visitor, Peter Luffel, from the Wauwatosa Public Library, and he will be later on the agenda, so we're not going to let him speak yet. And we do just want to extend a thank you and a welcome to Lauren. We already introduced ourselves when you were making her packet, so we took care of that mostly, except for Mike. So that's obviously
Nice to
Mike.
meet
So
you.
yeah,
Thanks
welcome,
for having
welcome,
me.
welcome. We're going to look at the minutes of last month's meeting. It was June 23rd. Did anybody notice anything or see anything that needed correction or attention? Do I have a
I'll make a
motion?
motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, that was Amanda.
Second.
Amanda and Alan. Any other questions or comments? Oops, I gotta get all these A names straight now. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstain? Okay. The next thing, and I might pause once in a while just to, make sure Lauren is up to speed. The next thing we're going to look at is the separate sheets are the vouchers and the invoices for this month. And we do operate with two different funds. One is Fund 15 and one is Fund 16. And we can explain that to you later, but we approve those vouchers and invoices separately. And Alan is our treasurer, so he goes through that and the finance report.
Okay, I reviewed all the invoices and I saw nothing that was out of line.
Just out of curiosity, what membership renewal, the 174 for Brianna? It's the third one.
Which one?
Membership renewal.
Oh, that's WLA.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
That was Annie and Mike. Any other questions about those vouchers or invoices? The invoices. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Motion carries.
Okay, Fund 16, I saw nothing out of line here either. So I looking for a motion to approve the invoices.
I so move.
Second.
Annie and Amanda. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody abstained or opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay,
Time out. So Alan provides us with a really, really, really nice one-page summary. The pages following that are the details.
Gotcha.
So the easiest thing to look at is his one-page summary. It is
Love
page
that.
4. Yes.
I
yes.
opened the spreadsheets yesterday
Yeah.
and I said, oh no.
Nope.
Not
we'll
the
get
spreadsheet.
page
Position
4.
is safe, Ellen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew that. You
Sorry.
can put together a spreadsheet with a lot of numbers, nobody wants to touch that.
Right. Right.
Okay, the June report represents 49.59% of the year. And for Fund 15, we have received 96.714% of the budget. We have so very much of the revenue because the first month of the year we get the money from the city. So, and that's the majority of our funds. Investment income continues strong. Our total expenditures were 45.89% of the budget, which is running below where we are as far as time. Ebooks, the annual charge hit in June, is $10,004, I believe. The interdepartment charges didn't show up again. The electric bill didn't show up if you look at the financial statements, but Jennifer knew what it was, told me what it was, and I put it on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
So rest easy, that was taken care of. Other expenditures are as anticipated. Fund 16, total revenue is 52.26% of the budget, so we're running ahead on that.
Not because of my fines this month, though.
Atta girl, you got everything in.
So, can I ask, is that also city money, or what is the difference between these?
In
funds?
Fund 15, where is that report?
City money and,
City
and
money.
investment income?
No, it's fines and contributions.
I don't see
and-
fines in Fund 15. I thought
Or-
that's
I
what
just
Fund
jumped to
16
Fund
was.
16.
Yeah.
She asked if there was city money in Fund 15, so I'm just explaining the
Oh.
difference.
I had
Okay,
commented
so-
that Fund 15 has the funds from the city.
Yes, yes. So 16 is the others, the fine.
Right,
Right.
Fines and fees.
Income,
Fines and
fees.
yeah,
Got it.
basically.
Thank you.
right. Total expenditures, only 41.15% of the budget. Other expenditures are as anticipated, and the
And,
cash register report was perfect as expected. Did anybody see anything that they had questions on? If you looked at page 9 and you saw there were some items that were in yellow, this is my standard whining 9 and 10 about items that when I put the June numbers in the spreadsheet, the year-to-date total is different from the report year-to-date, which means they booked something back in May.
oh,
And that's,
yeah.
So
Pain-
the
pain in-
$12,364 for electricity in May, does that include February too, or what's the deal with that?
no, it has something additional that went in there. It may have been $50, but if you add the 4,541, oh,
See what she's saying?
yes, the electric one shouldn't have been highlighted.
But it looks like it should have been highlighted though. Why was it 12,364 in May and 4541 in June?
Because in February, we didn't have anything, and so we were
Was
booking a
February.
month late,
Okay,
and this one probably got 2 months in there.
can I ask one more question?
Sure.
What was the refund for 1324 on page 10 in May? What was that?
In May?
$1,324 in refunds?
Yeah, that was,
No, those monies are kicked back from the foundation,
Oh.
and we have to put it somewhere, so we put it in.
Those
the
are revenues, it's in revenues.
Oh.
I know, it gets us every time. Those numbers show up and it's how we
Interesting.
note that the foundation has given us money, because we don't really have a.
Because we don't offset against the
Right,
expense where we put it.
exactly.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So then we sell over, like the year we bought the tables, let's say, for the Phaedra room, didn't the foundation do that? We were way over in furniture, right?
Right. Oh, and then we
But
also
it didn't
the-
offset that, the foundation's donation didn't offset that, it showed up in this line,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, then I'm gonna skip through all the other reports
okay.
and go to the credit card, which is on page 16. And again, nothing out of the ordinary. The numbers look reasonable compared to the months. Questions? Answers?
Which is good.
This isn't a quiz.
Okay, any other questions for Alan? All right, as always, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For keeping us on track here. All right, we're moving on to agenda item 7, old business. Last month, we started a discussion about fine-free libraries, and so that is why Pete Luffel is here because Wauwatosa is one of the libraries that has gone fine-free in the MICLIS system.
I think this might have just gone to sleep, so just give me a moment. I'm hoping that, yep.
It's movie night at the board
Here we
meeting.
go.
Do you want me to dim the light?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where's the popcorn?
There's no snacks?
I know,
So
I
we did
know,
see
the one
popcorn
night.
over there, yeah.
Okay, so I was asked, so my name is Peter Luffel, I'm the director of the Wauwatosa Public Library. A little bit of background, I've been the director there for about 8 years. Our library went fine in 2 phases. We eliminated children's library fines in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and then adult and young adult overdue fines at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. And so I'm just going to give you a quick overview of a few things for why we did what we did, how we went about it, and some of the impacts that it's had. So, there's going to be a delay. First thing, we're going to talk about the differences, and I'm sorry, this is based off of a presentation I did for both of our Common Council and Finance Committee, so there might be some repetitive stuff. Yes?
What are our fines per day?
Per day?
Per day?
But
Isn't it
whatever.
like 18 grand a year, I think?
Yeah, it's 18 grand a year.
Yeah, but when,
Me.
come in with,
Oh, it varies. It varies.
It depends
so
on if
much.
it's a movie
Yeah.
or a book.
It depends on if Maria's been in or. So it can vary every day, but it's about 18,000 a year.
well, I knew the 18,000 a
Yeah.
year.
Oh, you mean like
You mean
per
like it's
day
like 10
per
cents
book?
a day for a book?
Yes.
Okay, that's what he
It's 10
means.
cents a day. Our overdue fines are 10 cents a day.
Except for movies.
There's a 3-day grace period for
We have a
most of our
policy.
items.
Yeah, I know.
Back.
I didn't look it up. It just hit me and I,
Movies are like 50 cents unless they're
Yeah.
the express ones. I think those are $1. I don't know about the
Yeah,
library.
there's different
of
date
things.
ranges too,
Yep.
right? Your stuff is like a week, and some other stuff is 3 days, and so depending on what it is.
okay.
So, we're just going to talk quickly about the difference between a fine and a fee. So a fine is a daily penalty assessed for the late return of library materials. Basically, stuff that's returned overdue. Fees are what we charge for true material loss. Like if somebody never returns a book, or if they return it damaged, significant point where we end up charging them for either partial or a complete replacement charge. So it's an important distinction when we talk about this. What we did is we did what most libraries do, which we waived our overdue fines, but we still have our fee
Yeah.
structure in place. Lag time. Okay,
Fancy.
so the background. In 2017, our library board and staff started talking about eliminating overdue fines as the way to make the library more accessible. We conducted research on this topic. We analyzed usage and financial data for both our libraries and other libraries. We read articles. We looked at other libraries that went fine-free. We interviewed them. We read news articles about them and examined why they made the decision. Based on this decision, we recommended that the library board closely examine overdue fines, and we eliminated them at the dates that I told you about already. So, overdue fines are a barrier for access. This is one of the key things. One of the mantras I've had is reducing barriers to access. And monetary fines are a significant barrier for access, especially if you have people who are lower on the economic scale. It's an impediment for them to use the library because they, in many cases, will be afraid to use the library because of the fear of racking up fines, or the possibilities that parents will come in and they will limit their children with the number of books because they don't want to have 10, 20 books checked out at a time because they're afraid of the quick accumulation of fines that could result. So it is a significant barrier for access in that regard. Studies, however, have shown that small fines do not have an impact on return rates. Overdue fines don't statistically have a significant impact on when things get returned. A fine doesn't necessarily mean an item is going to be returned on time or not. Patron behavior is embedded, and fines do not have a significant impact. There's been a significant amount of research that has shown that it doesn't necessarily make a difference. People still return items. So in a fine-free library, we still need to return things. We still send overdue notices. We still block users of people who do not return materials, and we still collect lost and fees for lost and damaged materials.
You block them how? What's the,
We use the exact same procedure. One of the key things is, as a member of the Milwaukee County Federated System, the procedure that we use is exactly the same among all member libraries. So that hasn't changed. So for example, I'll have a timeline in a moment that'll show some stuff. But the procedure is based on our member library agreement, so it's actually the same for all the libraries. Franklin's rules are exactly the same as Wauwatosa's as to when cards actually can no longer be used.
okay,
And it's the same fine thresholds that will trigger it.
okay.
But what we did is we've already taken steps at our library to prevent fines. One of our goals is how can we make it easier for the public? So one of the things we did under the yellow tab is we standardized our loan rules to make it easier for patrons to remember due dates. When I first started, we had 7-day items, 14-day items, 21-day items, 28-day items, and 6-week items.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. So today, every single thing in our library, except for our laptops and our Explore passes and our circulating artwork, checks out for 3 weeks. So every single thing, whether it's a DVD, whether it's a new book, older book, children's book, adult book, everything is 3 weeks, except for our Explore passes, our laptops, and our Library of Things. Well, actually, a good chunk of our Library of Things are still 3 weeks as well. So we simplified it, which makes it easier for people to remember when things are due. These last two, I'm going to take credit for this one because we say that WPL improved and for our notifications, but really it was the system level. We have better texting and email notification systems, which gives warnings and reminders to people before things are due and at multiple times. Back when we first started working in libraries, you pretty much didn't return something and you didn't find out about it until you got a letter in the mail a few weeks later.
Oh, the letter.
And so,
But you had to rip the edges off
Yeah.
and peel it open.
and so we improved how we notify people about it. We get text reminders ahead of time. You get text reminders the day after. You get text and emails afterwards. We also improved our renewal options. It's easier to renew by telephone, email, text through the County Cap app. So this is the timeline that we have. So 3 days before items are due, you get an email or a text reminder. 1 day late, you get an email or a text reminder. 7 and 14 days late, you get an overdue notice. And 28 days late, the library items are considered lost and the library card is blocked. So from the concept of being fine-free, you're really only talking about that window between 0 days overdue and 28 days overdue. Because if an item is returned before the due date, whether or not you're fine-free is irrelevant. Once anything's returned after 28 days later, it doesn't technically make a difference because the card is going to be blocked because it hasn't been returned. So you're really talking about that 28-day window. I would argue, however, that going fine-free makes it easier to get things that are long overdue because when somebody has 10 books that are 6 months overdue, they know they can return them. They won't have to pay anything, and their library cards is actually able to be used again. So there's actually more of an incentive to bring stuff back, even if you don't plan to use the library again, if that makes sense. So the key thing is our procedure really hasn't changed for things that doesn't have gone. We also taken steps to decrease the impact of overdue fines. When I first started, a blocked card, because of either overdue fines or because of non-return materials, would prevent you from doing things that really don't have anything to do with checking out materials. You wouldn't be able to use a public computer, for example. You couldn't sign in with your library card, and you couldn't access your online databases online, like Homework Help or any of our other databases. And these have nothing to do with checkout periods. One of the key things is overdue fines were developed as a means to encourage people to return stuff. Studies have shown that's not the case. They can actually be a deterrent. So we wanted to make it easier for people to use things without having
I had
any
a quick
issues.
question from your last slide.
Yes.
Did you switch up your renewal policy at all? Because you said the 0 to 28 days, but if in theory they could just renew it 100 times.
We can't.
Okay.
I would love to. So we follow, because we're a member of the Milwaukee County Federated Library System, we follow the system rules for renewals.
Okay.
We made it easier for people to renew stuff because the app has made it easier for people to renew online. A long time ago, you could only renew by either bringing the item in, calling, or we actually had a phone system where you could actually call a number, punch in your 14-digit library card number, and then punch in the digits for each of the barcodes that you do to renew. It was great. Because if you missed one number, it wouldn't tell you if you did it correctly or not. So it's like our first stab of online stuff in the mid-90s. It was really kind of nice. Our system, assuming there's no holds on materials, because materials can't be renewed if there's a hold on it, but if there's no holds, it can be renewed up to twice.
Okay.
So in theory, you can have it up to 9 weeks without having to return it.
Okay.
My feeling is, I would love to have unlimited renewals. People can still put a hold on it. My theory has always been, if somebody wants to renew something, that's somebody who wants that item. It doesn't make any sense to make somebody say, well, you have to return it now. Yes, somebody might be wanting to use it, but we know we do have a person, and most items would just end up going back on the shelves anyway. So if somebody wants to keep renewing it, I'd be all for it.
So if there's a hold on it, you can't renew it?
That is correct. It doesn't let you place holds when you renewals. And that's something I was going to talk about later on,
I'm
because
sorry.
one of the potential impacts would be is, let's just say you have somebody who has the new bestseller for picking off, we'll say Stephen King, because he's going to have a book like that. Is the impact of an overdue fine going to impact that to somebody who says, oh great, I can keep it until I finish it? Well, we said before that the statistics have shown that books, people returning books are not influenced by fines or not. It's the same with people who are reading bestsellers. They return stuff when they're done with it and where they're ready to read it. And so what we've seen over time, the return rates have been the same for our new books. And
Really?
yeah, we've done snapshot in time things, and we haven't seen any statistical change since before fines and after fines. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. That was one of our worries, that, well, people just be incentivized to keep a new book with a massively long waiting list,
Right.
but it hasn't shown a negligible impact on it.
Okay.
Yep. But let's talk about the impact of overdue fines, though. The whole point of a fine was to encourage people to return stuff. But what happens when they return stuff but don't pay for the fine? Before we went fine-free, we had a bunch of block cards in our system, for Wauwatosa residents. Of those people, those whose cards were blocked, 71% were blocked exclusively because of overdue fines. They had nothing checked out on their card. They weren't able to check anything out because they had existing fines. But these people were responsible and returned the materials. Our primary goal is that we want the material back, and they already succeeded that. So 7 out of 10 of our block cards were people who had returned all of our materials. It didn't make sense for us to keep those kind of cards blocked. Without fines, those cards are less likely to be blocked.
Do you know how many cards that 71% made up?
At the time, I didn't put it in here, but I did look at that number. The number for Wauwatosa at the time was somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,700.
Out of how many cards do you guys run?
I'm sorry?
How many? Out of what was the percentage?
At the time, we were probably maybe in the neighborhood of 29,000 cardholders
So about 10%. Wow.
at the time. And 71% of those 71% of those 2,900 people
Just fines.
were blocked because of fines.
Jennifer, do you have any idea what our block card?
I don't know what the block cards are. I know we have about
Yeah.
12,000.
Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer, because since that time, NCLIS has changed their category for how they determine what an active card is.
Yeah.
And so most of my statistics is based on 2020 data.
Okay.
And NCLIS has changed it since that time.
So you can't compare the 29,000 to 12,000
So-
because their number's probably different. Ours is around 12,000 as of last year.
So this is how much money we collect in overdue fines every year. So in 2014, we collected $104,000 in overdue fines. So this is before I started at Wauwatosa, we collected $104,000. Not an insignificant amount of money. Now, for relative, I cannot tell you offhand what our budget was in 2014, but statistically speaking, we've been about the same proportion compared to Franklin. So if you're aware of what Franklin's budget is, today Wauwatosa's budget is about $3.3 million. So you can do the math in your head with whatever Franklin's budget is to figure out the difference between what our significant fines are, for example, if that makes sense.
A little over twice.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, so we collected $104,000 in 2014. Now, without changing anything that we talked about, all of those maneuvers, we already went down from 104,000 to 94,000 2 years later in 2016. This was before I started. So then I started in 2017, and we started to implement some of our changes, standardizing due dates. NCLIS started implementing improved renewal options and improved notification options, and it dropped down to 82,000 in 2018. In 2019, I only went by 1 year. In the 1 year between 2018 and 2019, it dropped again to 75,000. I put that last year in because that's the last year that we have full overdue fines at our My Library. So, statistically speaking, at the time, children's fines accounted for half of our revenue for overdue fine. It's accounted for about half of our checkouts and half of our overdue fine revenue. And so we were anticipating, optimistically, maybe $72,000 for 2020. If we changed nothing, we were estimating around $72,000 in overdue fines that year. We knew we wanted to eliminate it on children's materials. We really all wanted to remove them on all, but we wanted to do a step-down system. We started with children. So we were going to allocate about $36,000 for children's fines in 2020. That money was going to go away if we didn't charge for fines. And so we needed to find that $36,000. Now, fortunately, we had a good relationship with our city and our finance department, the city's finance department, and our common council, who was supportive of our plan. And so when we eliminated overdue fines, we were fortunate that we didn't have to say, well, we need to cut $36,000 elsewhere in our budget. Our city was able to find funding for that
That makes a
Mm-hmm.
huge difference.
Right. That $36,000, that meant for the city, they had to increase their tax levy by $36,000 that they wouldn't have otherwise have to do. The impact for the average home in Wauwatosa that year for 2020 was $1.53 per year, or basically $13 cents per month was the impact for the household. So when we marketed this is what we talked about to people. When our city does our financial, I'm not sure what Franklin does, when our city does its annual budget and it presents stuff, they always present stuff in a monthly format. This is how much you pay for fire on a monthly basis. This is how much you pay for the library on a monthly basis. The impact on a home for Wauwatosa for doing this would be 13 cents a month.
What was your fees? Was there any sort of change as far as?
Ooh, that's meaning overdue fees that we had? That was actually a good change. I forgot to mention, when I started, we were at, I want to say 15 cents a fine per day for overdue materials. It's been a while since we had some, so I kind of forgot. I think there were 15 cents per day, and our DVDs were $1 a day. And so one of the things we did when we simplified our loan rules, we also dropped our DVDs down to match what our overdue rate was for the books. So we did reduce our overdue fines maybe in 2017, maybe in 2019. So
Was that part of the step down process? Was we're gonna, so that way then when from a budgetary standpoint, that your need of relying on that revenue was lessened over time, and then when you decided to go.
that was one of the impacts.
Okay.
That was not the main consideration, but that was certainly a side one that I was aware of that would help. The main impact, number one, was that for our case for DVDs, my theory has always been material is a material is a material. For some people, DVDs are the main way they interact with the library. Some people it's an audiobook, some people it's a book. Why penalize somebody who has a DVD versus a book? The two should be the same. That was the main thing. So the main thing was a simplification factor, but we also knew by stepping it down, it would also decrease the amount of overdue fine revenue we would collect, which would make it easier if we eliminated it at some point in the future, which it turned to be the next year. Yep.
That $1.53 per household
Yes,
was to make up the $36,000.
that's correct.
Okay, so prior to that, you were as high as $104,000.
Correct.
But you did other steps to reduce that.
There's a bunch of different
Yeah.
things. There's like there was 104,000 in 2014, and then it was down to 90,000, down to 80,000 before I even started. So that wasn't even things I did. That was just a bunch of different things that are happening. It was.
So those things already happened to us,
Some things
too.
were happening, like
Right.
the stuff that when our library system improved the ability for people to get notified by overdue materials and make it easier for people to renew by text. Because if you have Shelfbound, you can get a text alert and you can hit RA to respond by just when you get the alert to renew something and potentially renew it. That right there is going to eliminate overdue materials, which will reduce revenue.
Do you know if we experienced something like that?
Oh, yeah.
So if we went back to 2014.
If we went back, we have a lot less fines that we take in now.
Okay.
Especially since the text system or the email text. Okay, yeah, that was one of my.
And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I misunderstood from 2 months ago, but you're still collecting fines because if a Franklin resident returns something at Wauwatosa?
Yes.
So that's not like you're completely out 36,000 because you're still getting money from other places returning.
So I have a bunch of thoughts on that. And so yes.
You're
So
welcome.
So my answer is yes, we still collect overdue fines, and we actually do budget revenue from those overdue fines. We still collect about $8,000 a year in overdue fines because of material. So if you're not familiar, real quickly, as a real quick brief summary, the way our member agreement is, the loan rule is based on the library that owns the material. So when a Franklin book gets sent to Wauwatosa, and we check it out to somebody who either lives in Wauwatosa or even a Franklin resident who happens to be at Wauwatosa, it's going to be Franklin loan period, whether it's a 7-day or 3-week book, or whether it's 25 cents fine, 5 cent fine, or 50 cent fine. And then if that person pays it at any library, because they don't necessarily have to pay it at Wauwatosa, the member agreement stipulates that the fines where they're paid, those libraries retain it. That's part of the member agreement.
Yeah.
So in theory, a Franklin resident could check out a Franklin book at the Franklin Library, return it to the Franklin Library overdue, and get an overdue fine assessed, but then go over to the Hales Corners Library and pay the fine there. Hales Corners keep the money. That's a function of the library's system. Now, I'm going to just opine here for a moment. My argument, however, is if you think about this, it's not so much that Wauwatosa. If you take a step back and assume that, okay, if nobody's really intentionally gaming the system by this, that it's all balancing out equally. Think of it in terms of this. It's not so much that we're collecting money that should be going to the other libraries, because that was money we were always collecting anyway. It's the fact that, in theory, all these other libraries are not collecting money that they would have collected. For example, if a Franklin resident places a hold on a Wauwatosa book and it gets sent to Franklin, and they check it out at Franklin and return it late at Franklin, there will be no fine assessed. And so a Franklin resident will not be paying an overdue fine on that book. And that's theoretically revenue that Franklin lost. What I would like to flip it to is there are 15 library systems in Wisconsin. 13 of those library systems use the loan rules based on the library where the item is checked out.
I just think everyone should go fine free, but
So if they did that, that's good for patron simplicity, because it also reduces, we'll just use 7-day videos versus 3-week
Even
videos.
without the.
When things get sent, if there's a library out there that sells a 3-day video and it gets sent to any library, it's going to be a 3-day video, and that person might be placing a hold on a material and it's going to come up as 3 days. If it's based on the loan rules of the library that it's being checked out at, which is what 13 out of the 15 library systems in Wisconsin does, that makes it easier for patrons to know what they're going to get because they're used to their home library. It's also a very good incentive for member libraries on their own to be more alike in what they offer in terms of their loan rules. It also would be, my primary thing is, I don't want to collect the $8,000 a year that we collect in overdue fines. What I really want is, I don't want my patrons to have to pay that $8,000. That's really what my goal is. And so if I would go to flip that switch, then that would solve my problem. Every other library would get a little bit of revenue from those Wauwatosa books that are not going, and we would no longer get revenue from all those other suburban libraries and Milwaukee books that are being checked out at my libraries. It's a good question.
And PR wise, it's better to have standardized. I mean, because now we have a chart of all the different
Yeah.
Yep. So
material types and.
when we immediately made this change, we got a lot of comments. This made it easy. Our circulation staff loved this because they got to spend more time talking to patrons about books and other things as opposed to how much they owe in fines. That made it easier. These are some of the comments we received. I don't have more presentation materials for you because when we planned this out in 2019, my assistant director, Robert, and my circulation supervisor at the time, and my adult services supervisor and my children's library services supervisor, we had a plan in place for how we were going to track and retain data for the next 2 years for what we did. And we did what we called snapshot in time accounts. It's very difficult to try to track stuff exactly. So give you an example of what we did. We wanted to see what the impact on fines was. So an example of one of the snapshot in time accounts is, every Monday what we would do is we would take a look and run a report for how many items are currently checked out at Wauwatosa, how many Wauwatosa items were checked out at Wauwatosa, how many Wauwatosa items checked out, different variations of it, and at that moment, what percentage of them were overdue, and what percentage of them were overdue from the 1 to 28 time period, and how many were blocked overall. What we wanted to see was, is there an uptick in items that are a week overdue? Is there an uptick in items 2 weeks overdue? Is there an uptick in items 3 weeks overdue? And there's an uptick in items 4 weeks overdue, and an uptick in other ones. We also did this, and we compared it with other libraries because we wanted to see what it did. So one of the libraries we compared it with was Franklin.
He likes
And so
comparing himself.
it's good because there's a baseline. Because even before we made the change, I forgot what the exact numbers are, and I'm sorry I don't have them with me today. But when you guys can be proud of this, when we first did the report, the baseline for overdue materials, just not specific, but anything that's overdue up to 1 to 28 days, out of all the items that were checked out at any given time, what percentage were overdue? It was something about 7.2% for Franklin. I mean, for our library, and Franklin was about 4%. So the baseline was that we did leading up to this, about roughly at any given time, about 7% of our items that were checked out or currently checked overdue by up to 28 days. And Franklin was about 4%. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and we did this, and we did these numbers for 3 months, and we saw no change whatsoever. It was great. We were so excited. We didn't see any statistical change as week by week by week. We did this in December of 19, and we started doing this, and we saw no statistical change. And we were so excited, but we wanted to keep going for a whole year because maybe people just return stuff more in the wintertime, and they don't do it in the summertime, and it would get worse. So we were prepared to do this for all, and then COVID hit in March of 2020, and that screwed up all of our data. So once we got to March of 2020, we had no viable data to track anymore because everything massively changed.
Because, they changed all the due dates on all the
So
materials. So
we stopped doing it for the rest of 2020. And frankly, we didn't even do it in 2021. But we started doing it again in 2022 because now we were ramping up to do adult fines. And so we did it for 2022, and we did it for the first 5 months of 2022, and we saw no statistical change. And then, frankly, we stopped doing it because it was too much work.
So your step down program was like 2 years, is that what you said?
It ended up being 3 years. Beginning of 2020 and beginning of 23.
And
Children's at the beginning of December was actually when it happened, but end of 2019, end of 2022. When
was that the original plan, or did COVID mess that up too?
COVID slowed it down, probably. I can't say for sure. I think we probably would have done it in the fall of 21 after 2 years. Yeah. With the discussions that we had with our finance director, we were going to do it for a full year to see what happened. So I think the original plan was by the time we got to the summer of 2020 would have been 6 months in. We probably would have made changes for 2021. By the time we got to the summer of 21, we probably would have budgeted it for 2022.
So that 7.1% that
Overdue rate.
overdue rate never changed?
Never statistically. It floated down to like 6.9 up to 7.9, It floated back and forth between them. It was never the same. But it never didn't, what would have concerned me, for example, let's just say we did our baseline and it was like 7%, and all of a sudden now it's 10%, now it's 12%, now it's permanently up to 12%. It just fluctuated always around 7.5%.
Okay, then my question is, if it didn't change at all you did was give up that revenue.
Yep.
Well, not necessarily.
No. Actually, my circulation is going up.
Yeah, that's what I was
his
gonna ask.
circulation skyrocketed.
Okay.
Yeah, my circulation has gone up. Now, is my circulation great? No, but that's a whole different story about whether I think circulation is the
Okay,
be all and
but
end
if your
all.
circulation went up 4 times, 400%, I'm making up numbers here, and you still have 7.1%, 6.9% overdue, you just have 4 times the number of items overdue also.
Statistically, yes, because once again, the research has shown that the overdue fines don't have an impact. Our results kind of prove that. And I suppose you could say, yes, we lost that revenue in terms of the lost legislature, but why were we collecting that revenue in the first place? The revenue was intended to try to encourage people to return stuff. It didn't serve the purpose for which it was intended. So why are we doing it?
I would say that the problem is not eliminating the fines. What you should have done is doubled or quadrupled the fines. Then they'll have an impact. If all you're going to pay is 10 cents a day, what do you care?
That's a great-
If it's $1 a day, you're going to get that book in.
Yeah, and I would argue, and
Wait.
sorry.
It's not that I want to raise the fines, but raise them to $1 a day and forgive them for the most part. But have people thinking about it.
If you
And-
forgive them, though, that the impact is gone. Because they'll be like, oh, I'll keep it. They'll just forgive
Yeah.
it.
Become complacent, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
And it might even prevent more people from using the library because they'll be like, oh my gosh, I could just buy a book for what I'm gonna have to pay. And there's also a limit, like it's a $10 limit. So it's gonna cap at $10. Or, well, each item will cap at $5.
We'll just get there quicker.
Yeah, they'll just cap faster, but
So I'm thinking if you have a significant increase in circulation, that's not just going to be for the stuff that's sitting on the shelf and hasn't circulated at all. So if you have an increase in circulation, my thought is that now that means that you have to increase your budget for materials.
In theory.
So what happened to your capital outlay as far as materials in order to be able to satisfy this skyrocketed circulation increase?
Well, we have increased our materials budget over the years.
yeah.
And to be clear, our circulation has not skyrocketed.
Oh, but
I
that's-
said
that's-
skyrocket. I said skyrocket.
I would argue that my circulation has not skyrocketed.
Compared
I would
to
say, let's put it this way.
We haven't gone-
Wauwatosa has, I don't know what it is for 2024 because I haven't done the data for the 2024 year though, but statistically, our library has rebounded from the pandemic better than other libraries in the state of Wisconsin. Statistically, I'm going to oversimplify things at the moment here, but before that, Wauwatosa is the 16th largest municipality in Wisconsin. Each of the largest municipalities all have their own libraries. We rank number 5 in the state of Wisconsin in terms of circulation. So the only 4 libraries in the state of Wisconsin that check out more items than us is Madison, Milwaukee, Brown County, which is Green Bay, Waukesha, and that's it. So we're number 5 in the state of Wisconsin. The circulation of the children's library at Wauwatosa, if it was its own library, would be 16th in the state of Wisconsin. And it exceeds every other suburban library's total circulation in Milwaukee County.
Now, the
Now,
reason-
function of it is a lot the size. Wauwatosa is 48,000 people.
Yeah, well, the reason I bring it up is because from a budget standpoint, we're always like operating at the bone. And we don't have
Yeah.
Wauwatosa's Common Council to go to say, sure, we'll give you the extra $36,000.
Or business tax base.
Okay. So from that standpoint, you know, I know we need to be careful and when we talk about what impact increased circulation would have, or even if not having any fines on there is going to do anything to circulation in Franklin. We have to, if we were to see what was going to happen, you would have to do it and just look at the data. Because we don't know what would happen to circulation. Can't assume it's going to go up.
And the
assume
challenge
it's
is,
not going to go down.
if you eliminate fines, it's very hard to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, right. And as Mike said, you know, that was one of my questions. I have several, but I realized, because I do remember Jennifer telling us, is that you have a good relationship with your council, and we have a very good relationship with our council, but I would say our council is much more hesitant about, because they have stated it, much more hesitant to agree to us dropping a revenue item.
Yeah.
So that's where our challenge will be
Yeah.
coming in, would be educating our council.
And so in Wauwatosa, currently we have 16 members on our council. And not that it makes a difference, it's the percentages, whatever
Right.
it was. One of the things is, and there was, I don't want to say resistance, I'm not sure if that's a word, but there were some certain council members that had
Concerns, yeah.
questions and concerns. One of the reasons that we opted to go with the children's one is we felt that there would be a broader support for
Sure.
children's fines, and that would be a good starting point to
To then
test the waters,
collect the
so to speak.
data and, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I like the slide that you put up on impact on property taxes, because that's exactly where the conversation's gonna go. How's it, you know, how much are we talking about as far as an impact on increasing property taxes
Yeah.
in order to support that, and that's a nit.
Yeah, that's the single most simplest way you can tell a council person, this is the initiative that we want to do, and this will be the net impact, assuming
Right.
that we don't cut from the library's budget otherwise.
Or assuming we don't find a donor that's willing to
No,
support it.
and that actually came up. So Milwaukee, public library already had some sort of a fine-free one with their children's for years, for
Right.
decades, and they have, it's a little bit different. It's based on cards, not materials,
Right.
but they've had something like that. After we went fine-free, Cudahy also went fine-free on children's materials. Shorewood followed shortly thereafter. Now, what Shorewood did is what we have the Wauwatosa Public Library Foundation. When our foundation heard about us, they said, oh, if it makes it easier, maybe we could help provide a donation, and offset the difference. And we actually did not pursue it because we didn't want to give the impression that our foundation's going to be supporting this in perpetuity.
Right.
And that would be the challenge. You've eliminated fines and our foundation's going to give us 30,000, 10,000, 50, whatever the amount is. At some point, in theory, that might not be sustainable, and then what do you do? That's essentially what Shorewood did. They had an outside entity in their foundation or friends group that helping fund their things. Now, they had a significant donation that may very well work for the years. And so I'm not saying it's not a bad idea, but
Right.
we didn't want to be put in the position of asking the other foundation to cover that and have that be more of an operational expense long-term.
And I look at it too, like, if their foundation is giving us $18,000, it's $18,000, they're not spending on anything else.
That's the other thing.
Yeah,
So it's still a revenue, it's still a revenue loss.
Yeah.
right.
It's also kind of impossible to figure out what that long-term range is, because if the money's going down every year and you're still collecting from others libraries,
Right.
there's not, you can't say it's 18,000 in
No.
perpetuity because it's going to go down every year.
Right.
Or it's going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you probably don't have data right now tonight that shows, like, since we implemented Franklin, I'm talking about, since we implemented all that, it is super easy to renew on my phone or whatever, the reminders I get, like before that system went into effect and now that it has been in effect for a while, how much revenue has changed
I mean, it's
since,
significant. We have fine data.
right,
can get-
yeah, that might be
We have fine
helpful,
data. But, yeah.
And
I mean,
remind me
20
again-
and 21 are going to
I know.
mess it up.
Right. I missed this part. The 28 days, do people at your library have to pay for those lost materials before their card is activated then?
Or return them.
Yeah, right, okay, yep,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The only difference is if it gets returned at a library that does have fines, it'll be checked in, and then the maximum overdue fines of $5 would be added to the record.
to that, yeah.
And ours
okay.
will be that. So yeah,
Okay.
at that point,
Okay.
or the person theoretically has the option to do something, to just not use the card ever again.
Right, okay.
But with the incentive of not having to pay, that's less likely to happen.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
So fines are eliminated, were fees flat as far as damaged or lost items? Was that a flat,
Based on the item.
the dollar?
They weren't significantly up.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't seen.
Oh, okay.
We haven't seen, like, for example, the theory being that, oh, there's no overdue fines anymore, I don't have to return stuff right away, so are people more likely to forget they ever had something and then end up losing it and never return it? Something like that.
And then pay for it.
Yeah. We didn't see a significant increase. I can't tell you if it went up or down, but I can tell
But
you
it
it wasn't
wasn't something
significant.
that would be,
Right.
It's not measurable.
It wasn't
Right,
significant.
Right.
Yeah, I can tell you, and at my library, we're fortunate that we can divide our revenue stream for what's the lost fines versus what's our damage fines. Because I can tell you what did happen is our damage fine revenue plummeted. Not our lost material, but our damaged stuff did. And that was from a shift that we did in mentality for how often we charge people for damaged materials.
so that's a
less-
separate conversation.
That's a separate conversation. My library is far less likely now to charge for a torn page than they would have otherwise been years ago, if that makes sense.
Does.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much
Sure.
for coming in.
Thank you. Yep.
We really appreciate it. Gives us something to think about, of course.
Yep.
Always. All right, any last words?
What are next steps? we've had a number of conversations about it. Now,
Right.
now Pete has
Right.
gone ahead and presented and said, okay, should we put a stake in the ground this evening?
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Pete. And we will make a decision at the next meeting.
Whether just move forward.
Whether move forward or not.
I would say probably, I
What?
mean, we've already talked about 3 meetings in a row.
Right, right. Why don't we do that? Give us time. And did you forward to all of us
Yep.
those articles? Yes,
Yep.
okay,
Mhm.
I thought so. I asked her to forward those articles that you had given
Don't
to
we have to
me.
come up with a plan
Yeah.
I was
first
gonna say,
of
like,
how we're gonna
Well,
Well, I
first,
think-
deal with the revenue loss before we vote to go ahead with?
voting to go ahead could be as simple as, having me go to the city for discussions.
Okay.
But don't we also have to decide, do we want to go all the way or do we
Right.
want to go
Yeah.
half?
I mean, I
Right.
guess that's, do
Mhm.
we get the opportunity to just discuss, like, a, kind of like what Peter talked about, a tiered way of addressing this, or is it all in, or is there, I mean, what would an action plan look like? That, to me, this seems a little bit more complicated than, obviously we need a partnership with the city in terms of, if we make that decision, but it seems to me there needs to be a little bit more,
A couple more steps.
in there before we would.
I mean, we've talked about it, and I think everybody has an idea of how they feel about it. But I think
Well, we have a couple options. I guess the way I see it is, do we just keep talking about it little by little at each meeting? And I think Mike's point is, next month, do we say, are we gonna keep talking about it, or are we
But I do agree
not?
about having to have a
Right.
plan. We've got a heck of a lot more information
Right.
now about
Right.
how somebody else had done it, as well as a possible approach about how to then do it. Okay, so then kind of we had other things that were brought to us where we said, okay, here's our options, and then we waited until the next meeting to actually do anything about it. So
Right,
at
right.
least one more time through to talk about an agreement on how we would step through this.
Would it be
Right.
worth creating an ad hoc committee to do some of that work?
I mean,
Or do we wait until,
I guess I'm just most concerned with how are we gonna fill that revenue hole, and what's the city gonna say?
right?
Especially, this is gonna be a challenging year, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, every year's been a
Well,
challenging
I
year.
think this year's a little more challenging. but-
We have very little net new construction, and as a result, the tax levy base is very flat. There isn't a spike of what we can raise across the city, so it is it's almost as if it is like running back what the numbers were last year. And hopefully with some other projects in development, that will not be the case in 26, but, from my lips to God's ears.
Well, can we also look at this 18,000 number when we factor in we're collecting X amount from other libraries, and I'm guessing that 18,000 is also the fines, not just the fees. So if we can just isolate what the fees are, and then if that's like a number that's 6,000, 7,000, or 8,000, is that something that we can absorb in our budget without going?
The fines alone are 18,000. That's just pure fines.
That's not fees.
Is there a way to break
So
that down
fees-
between children's
the
and
fees,
everything
That's
else?
what I'm wondering.
Oh man, I could ask Steve Heiser.
Yeah, so if we can just see what the
Yeah.
fees are.
I know
and
we
then
collect
can maybe
about $4,600 from other libraries in fines per year. That was that chart that I had last.
Is it possible to break out the children
I
versus
can-
adult?
I can ask Steve how granular he can get.
Make the decision a little easier.
So what do we
Yeah.
wanna see next month
Right.
that would help us
Those
with our
numbers I think
discussion?
would be
Okay.
helpful, and some kind of plan to present to the city, like, hey, if we do this, or we're looking at
Well,
this
Jason,
kind of
you're kind of the
revenue
fly on
drop.
the wall, so we're gonna kind
Yeah.
of rely on you as, okay, how do you package this in such a way that, if you were sitting there going, okay, you're supporting this, yeah, I'm supporting this because of blah, 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 blah.
You are.
Sorry for being the fly on the wall.
Speaking as only one voice on the council.
Right.
I think, I'm just, in my mind, just going through the personalities and
Yeah.
and how that would play. I think, one, having tangible numbers.
Yep.
That's going to be a critical portion of this, is like being able to say, this is the impact overall, and here's how it's going to be, where maybe, where some things are going to maybe say, that can be put on hold for now until we stabilize as far as the revenue side of it goes.
So that they see that we're managing the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think that would
Seems
be
totally fair.
That would be. I think you do that. I can probably. I think you would get a 5-1, as long as you're able to show we're going to decrease our revenues. However, we're going to decrease our expenditures in kind.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll get a 5-1 at the worst in terms of acceptance as far as that
Good.
goes.
That's good info.
So if we're at 18 and we get, what'd you say, 4,500 from others? So
Roughly.
that's
Mhm.
13.5. If
And
so
how much of that is
13.5,
children's?
How much of that is
So
children's?
that's what I keep
Can we
thinking.
break that out? Because then we're talking like, if it's half,
Half.
we're talking like $7,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot different
That's
from
more,
18.
yeah, you can take that.
So
into
that would
easier
be
then.
like
Yep.
a much.
Yeah,
I would feel a lot more confident with that first step
yeah,
to present.
And
I
then
mean,
that becomes a lot easier as far as your expenditures of being
Right,
able to,
right.
like instead of it being like, oh, well, we're not going to run the air conditioner in the month of August. It becomes, hey, we're going to cut back on sundry contracts or
Right,
some
yeah,
such like that. That becomes, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
able to see it all kind of even out. I think that would cause a lot more.
support.
openness at least.
Yeah.
I think you would buy a lot more support of like, you're cutting this, you're.
We have a plan, I mean, just
Yeah, it's
anytime
not
we go
just-
in with a plan.
It's
This is
not
what
just
we
saying, hey, we're just cutting our revenue.
Right.
And it's on everyone else to kind of make up
Right.
the
Oh, yeah. for
fill the
sure.
hole, as it were.
Mhm.
It's we're cutting this, but we're also cutting over here, so it evens out, and we're still showing that we're being responsible with city funds and being able to still provide for the residents in a manner that's, we're not just cutting for the sake of cutting.
Well, and I'd hope that if you're cutting, you're defining the why for our residents to understand that, right?
Correct.
So then you're having resident support, so it's not just about the numbers, I get that the numbers talk, but it's about the fact that, we want to increase access, exactly when you're thinking about, if we start with children, for example, that we're really being strong with that voice. So that is like, in my mind, if I think of an action plan, it's not just like where are we gonna compensate within the budget, but then what are our action steps to let the public know? And then in turn, how does that impact our circulation? Again, if you're increasing circulation, so on and so forth. So it's in my mind more complex than just saying we are eliminating this fine. It's, like my mind thinks of the strategic plan of that and like how that all fits within the strategic plan, and then what are our action steps that support that within it. So I guess that's where my brain is, in
Crafting a
regards to.
narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Is the communication piece of all of it, and then what are we doing to support that? So Franklin residents know, like, hey, this is really, we want you here, and as a result, we've made this decision.
My biggest problem with what we're talking about here is, I think we're very responsible in the way we spend money. So what we're going to do is we're gonna get rid of something that we don't necessarily wanna get rid of.
Yeah.
Now, we have going for us, the electric bill, you
Mm-hmm.
commented to me, is down about $3,300 a month,
3,400 in June.
30, okay.
Well,
So in
we'll have to
3 or
see.
3 or
We'll
4
have to
months,
see if it
that's-
continues.
Or 6 months, we're at 18,000.
Right.
I mean, we could talk that kind of swap and without cutting any services or reducing
And that's with
But-
solar.
Yes, we added solar this year.
solar and LED
Awesome.
lighting.
Yeah.
But
Well,
there's-
but I think every department in the city is gonna experience that, so you can darn well bet. And we're talking about what money the library gets, well, you don't need $3,300, that's 40 grand we can basically reduce the amount of money that we need to give to the library because you don't need to have that as part of your budget. So you gotta be really careful that you're not saying that here's a place that we're automatically gonna save and then that's gonna work, because on the revenue end, we're likely to get what it is that we need in order to support the library facility-wise.
I don't disagree with you, but whatever we say to them, that we can cut this, the response should be from them, well, cut it. Now. You know, we're not.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, what are you waiting for? So, this.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
That's why I use the words put a pause on certain things. For example, I know you hate the chairs in the back. But that can be we are going to wait to have this capital expenditure. Not saying we're not going to do it ever, but we're gonna wait until the revenue side is more in line to what we're anticipating, and then we're able to say, okay, now we're able to make that expenditure. It's not saying we're gonna live with, like, these chairs are gonna be passed down to future generations of the city. These are going to be replaced at some point, but we are not going to move forward until we are able to communicate, able to communicate strong futures as far as what revenue is gonna look like. I think that would probably be better.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I wouldn't say like doing any cuts, but just a pause on certain items would be probably the best way to kind of move forward.
Present it.
Yeah, is the presentation side of it,
Yeah.
especially if it's only, if it's only like $6,000, $7,000. Okay, yeah, then that makes sense, and we're able to see what it'll look like in 26, 27, and into the future, sort of thing.
I think it's helpful that it is a small number. That makes the conversation a lot easier.
Yeah.
If we were talking about back in 2014 with $104,000, what are you gonna pause,
Right.
Yeah. And when we have we just spent a bunch of money on body cams for the police department. Okay. Police department's also being asked to okay, so you're gonna have to come up with other stuff, man. Like, so, inspection services, DPW, everyone's having to alright, everyone's having to tighten belts even more than normal, which, I mean, it is what it is, but.
All right, so next month we will have
More
one more
numbers.
discussion
We'll
based
have
on some
numbers.
numbers. Yes, yes. And I wrote down kind of what people wanted to see, to remind you. All right. Last call. Okay. We will move on to new business, which is the election of library board officers. And this is, we have to go position by position and vote on each one. I did it wrong several times, so. All right, so the first position is president. Who wants to be president going forward? Who's gonna nominate?
I nominate Maria.
I was gonna
Second.
nominate you.
Fair enough.
Annie, would you accept a nomination?
No,
Oh,
not this year.
not this year?
I got a wedding plan this year.
Oh, that's right. That's exciting.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Are you guys sure? Because I do feel like I've been in this position for a while now. See, we have a lot of new members though.
Does anybody else want it?
Been there.
Do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I would. Okay, so all those in favor of me continuing for the next 12 months as president?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? All right.
Alan, it was you, right? Second the nomination?
Oh, shoot, that's
Yeah.
right. It was Annie and Alan. Okay, shoot. I gotta make a little chart here, although.
We're gonna save all the training money that we would have.
Right, that's right,
There you
that's
go.
right. Okay, so vice president. Mike, would you remain vice president this year?
Sure.
Okay, anybody else want to challenge Mike?
So Maria, you're nominating him?
I am nominating Mike.
I'll second it.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Okay. And secretary. Guess what?
Lord,
I
take this
nominate
yoke.
Annie.
Way to sell it.
Oh my goodness. So I
She's not
nominate
really good with
Annie.
scripture, otherwise we could probably say it's blank.
Does anybody want to second my nomination?
second it.
Okay.
Oh, you're a peach, Amanda.
All right. Anybody else want to take over as secretary or challenge Annie? Not challenge her. Okay. All in favor?
Challenge me.
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Motion carries.
Can I
And
oppose it? Can I oppose?
you're a member. You sure can.
Absolutely.
At least we've streamlined it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there's any question about our treasurer, so
I
I'll nominate.
nominate Alan.
Okay, and I will second it.
I'll accept the nomination.
Okay, good. All right.
Alan's
So
the
nobody
happiest.
seems to be fighting for it. So everybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstained? Okay, so all of the positions remain the same for the next 12 months. The people in the positions. Okay. That was easy. Now, if you look at if you have it,
It's a little different.
it is a little different already. I was going to
Already,
point that
yeah.
out. Jennifer had emailed us a new list of our addresses, emails, and stuff. So already there is a change.
Mike is
Jason, you are the third member of finance, correct?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then Mike is
on building.
building and grounds.
Yep.
Yeah, when that came through on that, I thought, oh, when did that? That's right. Okay, so if you want to make that change, but
Yeah.
this is the time where, so typically what happens is, you have taken over for Judy, so you fall into her committee assignment. You don't you don't have to, but then we'd have to shuffle. So is there anybody that would like, a different committee assignment for some reason? So Amanda, you are
I'm on buildings
Buildings and
and I
Grounds.
literally just had my first buildings and grounds meeting.
Same with me.
So
All right,
I'm keeping my
okay.
team.
I'd like to stay on that. just
Okay.
To have some consistency.
Sure, okay, perfect. And then Chris and Lauren, you and along with me are on the personnel committee. Okay.
Okay.
And neither of you have done anything with that committee yet, so I don't know if you know that you want a different assignment. So how about we go through this year, and then the finance committee, are we all good, Terry? Of course, Alan
Yeah.
and Jason.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, so I guess you get to update it one more time or whatever. Okay.
Well, I thought I might be changing it because of the officers.
Officers
so I was
too.
waiting.
Oh,
but
very good.
They
yeah.
stayed the same.
Good, yeah. Okay, so moving right along, we will, agenda item 8C then, the strategic plan
Yeah,
update.
Which you have, which when I was doing, I was like, really, quarter two has been very slow. Like, we haven't gotten, it's been taken up by so many other things. But there weren't a lot of goals that were.
I think we purposely did that
Yeah.
though, because it's summer reading. And so.
I mean, there were a couple of items that we had to move to quarter three because
Okay.
we just, I think in between the RFID issues we've had, the
Yes.
HVAC issues we've had, the copier issues.
Right.
Yeah, and summer reading in general, some things didn't really work.
What's on the second page, the second one down, the assess media and foreign language collections through patient surveys?
Yeah.
What type of surveys do we do? So it's like, okay, we have this collection. How's the collection? Can you think of any other things that you'd like to see? Do we need to talk to any other constituents on foreign language, or what's the plan for the survey?
Carrie hasn't done the survey for foreign language yet, but she assures me she will be doing it.
But I just want to understand, what's the focus of the
Andy,
survey? What do you expect to get
The focus was
back?
like, how do you use our media? Are you do you stream, you find yourself streaming more, are you checking out more DVDs?
Okay,
from
so we have a
Franklin?
starting point for it, but does it need to maybe change, or
So-
is circulation gonna increase, or?
Well, so Andy collected the surveys for like a month out by the DVDs, and then they also had an online. So he's got about 75 responses that he's analyzing.
Okay, so it's already in play, it just needs to be brought back together as far as, okay.
So, some
So
of
there
it
was
is
activity in
just-
Q2, it's not like there wasn't
There's
anything
activity,
done.
but we just didn't
It's in progress.
complete it.
Yep.
We didn't complete
Okay.
it. But,
I just have
Yeah.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, it's just, with the media, it's just trying to determine, because we are gonna have to cut back in materials, so
Right.
where do we cut back?
Still on that same page, so we have Q1 for codifying current communication
Yeah.
practices and identify areas for action. So it didn't get done in Q1 because,
We just had a lot of other things in Q1 we were doing that we did complete, so we kind of put that one off, but we
okay,
We just
so
need to
what I
get
would like
done.
to see is if the expected completion's in Q3, now this gets changed to Q3. And put on here, changed in to Q3 on, whenever it was done and whatever reason you have. Because just like when we started with the first strategic plan, it's like, we don't want to be saying, well,
Right.
other things took a priority, because we spend a lot of time putting these things in here and assigning folks. The hope would be that most, if not all, of this stuff gets done. So if there's anything that doesn't, it's gotta be more than just like, well, other things, right? Or even as we're moving forward, it looks like this is not gonna get done. So even if it's an item on the agenda, just as a heads up, part of your report, looks like it looks like a couple of things are gonna, just so we get a little bit of a,
So are you saying you want me to change this to Q3
yeah.
The due date?
Okay. in the column,
Yeah.
the quarter column? And then
Yeah.
in the yellow, put what happened, like
Please.
why, yeah.
Yeah,
Would it make some sense to change the way that's presented, like all the Q1 things listed first, and Q2, Q3, and Q4, so
Instead of categories.
instead of categories?
I
Huh.
guess you could do that. I mean, I don't know if we would do it this year, since it's already
Right.
done, but we could
That would be
definitely
something we could
do that next year.
Okay.
And then if something gets shifted down.
To where we talked about the media collection, the create calls to action and create community connections. We've been working on the postcard campaign, which has been going very well, though a lot of people are taking them home. The hope was that they would all return them, and then we could mail them as one big dramatic, like, boom.
So you don't really know how many of those people are mailing on their own.
Right.
But they're
We
being
do know-
taken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are being taken, so.
Yeah.
I'm being positive that they're
Yeah.
on it and not just using them as bookmarks.
Yep. I just have a user comment. I have been to a couple programs this year that I've used Local Hop to sign up for. And then my daughters have been to multiple programs that they have signed up. We now have to sign up through Local Hop. And none of those programs were we asked to evaluate.
Because we can't do that through local hop. You mean just in general at the program?
Nowhere did I
Yeah.
get asked. I'm just saying if we could do it through Local Hop, that would be great. But even, I mean,
QR code with a link?
I was gonna suggest that because I do an event at the Nature Center and we have QR codes all over the place, and including as people are walking out the door, and all they do is scan that code and it links them to the evaluation. But there were no forms, nobody asked, nobody said anything about evaluations, and if it's a strategic plan item,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
and it wasn't
something
just one
that's-
program. It was probably like 5 programs between my
I've
daughters
got
and
a
myself.
couple of,
So
I've got a
if you-
couple of challenges with those. Number
I'm
one,
sure.
children's librarians are very busy and are,
Which is why posting a QR
Yeah.
code as they walk out the door, all the moms have their phones in their hands.
and then
you
I
know.
think too, sometimes librarian, I know there's at least one, that worries that she'll get evaluated. And she's nervous about that. She feels like she's gonna be evaluated all the time. And
Okay, that's not okay though. I mean,
Well, it's
that's,
I'd
it's
say-
a program evaluation, so the question should be
Yeah.
related to the program.
Mhm.
And yeah, if they comment on that, but I guess,
yeah, like,
she's
Yeah.
just sensitive. She's just a more sensitive individual that I just need to work with.
What is local hop?
oh, it's,
Oh, it's our online program registration.
Okay.
So it's people can go. You can
it's a software that we use
Okay.
to sign up for programs, so if you
not
wanna
even software,
sign up
just
for.
an online
And it's, maybe not
online
software.
database.
it's
Kind of like
a-
Sign Up Genius.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we
Sign
go.
Up Genius would be the equivalent, but it's specific for
More.
library. It has more stuff,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
more
Yeah.
robust.
Yeah. But my thought was that if all that information is already in local hop, wouldn't it be so easy the day after the program that that local hop could kick out links to surveys?
And we can, because we can use the email list, because we require the email.
Yeah,
And we
something like,
could
I mean, that could be one way of
Could
doing
be
it, but yeah.
done. How many we would get back, I don't know.
Right,
But you know
I
what, I
know.
get.
So I guess the
get
net of
stuff all
it
the
is
time.
that
Is that,
brainstorm some ideas
it doesn't,
for making it easy for the patrons to provide you feedback on the programs.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
So then the creating a library wish list we're working on and we'll present to the foundation at the September meeting. Collaborate with the Franklin Public Library Foundation on fundraising and fundraising strategies. I've already been meeting with them about creating a volunteer database. We have some volunteers who are interested in running some of the fundraisers this fall. And then we talked about tweaks to the end of the year fundraiser, like the letter. So that's in progress.
Jennifer, what's your bandwidth for working on this stuff? Because I see your name next to everything here, plus you're running a library, plus you're having to deal with all of the stuff that comes up with the Johnson Control Project. I think some people need to be given the lead on it, and you need to
Well-
back off on some of the
Yeah,
stuff. So
sometimes my
that
name's on here just for that reason, for me to push them to, I am the manager of it, but they're doing the work.
then just have if they're accountable for those things and not you,
Mhm.
then their name should be on there. Because then I think that also helps you in understanding how strong of an evaluation, you give them. If they're,
that's,
I mean, granted, yes, you're kind of checking on things, but that's just,
the nature of your job, yeah.
yeah. And how you structure that, understanding all the other stuff that's
Yeah,
going on. Because there's a lot of stuff going on,
there is a very
A lot
lot
of
of stuff. Any questions?
I mean, good progress is being made,
Absolutely.
always. It's
Yeah.
always fun to see these. It's always really encouraging. So thank you, and thank your librarians for the good work. Okay. Agenda item 9 is, update on past or upcoming council actions related to the library. And I know you talked a little bit in our earlier discussion about budget stuff, but is there other things you'd like to share?
Sure. Right now, still in like the preliminary phases of the budget. Next month, budget, finance committee meets on the 26th of August. And then September is when it gets a little bit much more intensive. The 23rd, 25th, 29th, and October 1st are all budget meetings for finance, and that will be breakdown of individual corridors of the budget itself.
Can you give us those dates again?
Sure. September 23rd,
Uh-huh.
September 25th, September 29th, and October 1st. All beginning at 5 p.m. for all of those meetings. President Imp was present at the June Finance
Yes.
Committee, and her presence was, I think, greatly influential because there was a lot of, well, the library was mentioned multiple times, and Director Brown, our Director of Finance, made mention this last Finance Committee that when we were talking about the ones in September, that the library should be there to present their budgetary needs, much like fire, police, DPW, everyone gets a shot, that the library should also have a shot as well at making the case for
Well,
their
let's
needs.
thank her for that.
Yes. So to give you and then the new people too a little bit of background, it wasn't until about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that's when I was first.
Yeah. Prior to 2 years ago, every single department in the city got to make a presentation to the finance committee regarding their budget, except the library. And we worked long and hard to make sure we got a spot on an agenda. And so for the past 2 years, it's been happening. So
But kind
that
of
was my.
informally. It's happening, but it's not.
So those dates that you just gave us, usually we are, I don't want to say assigned, but we are on the agenda.
Public
So-
safety is
exactly
one day, and
So when definitely as it gets closer and those are, when we know it's our turn, let us know.
Sure.
And we can, you can start working on a presentation already, so.
And I guess because of all my committees that I'm on, I'm also on Parks. Parks is also very interested in taking part in Trunk or Treat when that occurs. So I
Give
will.
out free pickleball paddle.
Come on, let's not go crazy.
And where in the budget will that come out of, Annie?
But that I actually feel very fortunate that my committee assignments are able to kind of reach across the finance to here
Sure.
to parks, and
Yeah,
so really good stuff.
yeah. Do you send out individual requests for trunk or treat to the departments, or do you usually, how does that work?
I think the health department's taking over.
Oh, that's
We're
right.
actually
That's
having
right.
a trunk or treat
I
meeting
bet.
on Thursday.
Oh.
That's our first one, our
Nice.
kickoff for
Yeah.
2025.
Great.
So yeah, I
Good.
will. Police and fire always participate, and of course,
Yeah.
health department.
Yeah,
But
well, now you
Parks-
know the
Parks
parks
would
one
be a
too,
new
so,
one, and that'd
yep.
be great.
Good.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, Jason, for that update.
Sure.
As far as my report goes, I think some of the things I was going to mention, the finance committee meetings and such, were taken care of. But last week I was in Boonville, Missouri. This is our little family reunion T-shirt I wore tonight. And of course, what did I do?
Went to the
Visited the
library.
Boonville Library because I always do that. And I'm always amazed. It's a town of 8,000 people. Always amazed at what libraries can do with what they have. So, I walk in and I see all these flyers about all the stuff they going on, and then I walk into the library and it's a building like maybe three times the size of this room. And their stacks are like this close together. And then on top of their stacks, which are only 5 feet high, they have books stacked sideways about 5 or 6 high because they don't have any more shelf space. So they're stacking books, and then you get to the end of the row and there's like a 6-foot space where they have one of those white, not card table, but a white table, plastic table set up with 8 chairs around, which I think is their meeting room / program room / everything, staff lounge, so it really is just encouraging to see what we have here and what librarians all over are just doing in the communities they have. But there was also a little bit of controversy going on because they are going to be moving into a new building, and they did a big fundraiser for it. And then after they raised their funds, and then after the fundraiser, months later, it's like, well, now we need money for this. And then time passed. And now we need money for this. And then time passed. And the tide is kind of shifting in the community because the library keeps asking for more funds. And so it just kind of ticks that, things to be aware of, and how you interact with your community and things like that. So that was my little library story from last week in Boonville, Missouri. So anyways, I'm always like looking out, comparing, and just appreciating what's out there. So
We'll give you a map of the United States.
I know.
And a dart.
This one.
And
Yes.
Ray's gonna visit the library in Canton, Ohio.
I would too. All right. Then moving on to the buildings and grounds. This is one of my favorite times of the year. To see what you guys have found. Your spreadsheet, but I don't think you have a
I
spreadsheet.
have not gotten the
It's not
spreadsheet
done
yet.
yet.
Okay.
We did the walkthrough, the spreadsheet is in production.
Progress.
So hopefully we'll be getting that at some point
Okay.
soon. I mean, you're busy.
Nothing major.
I was gonna say,
It was a lot
Big-
of cosmetics.
Yeah.
yeah, always.
Which
Yeah.
is usually, I
Any
mean,
s-
other than
any
the
major-
obvious debacle of the major things
Yeah.
we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's kind of out of our hands.
And I know
Yeah.
every once in a while something safety related pops up, but anything like glaringly,
Trip hazard because of curl end on rugs. And,
Right.
okay, that wallpaper looks like it's a little bit,
yeah,
stuff
but it's
like
not
that.
safety. Yeah,
No.
I know
Nothing.
one year there were cords, or remember the
Oh, yeah.
the
well,
year of the
we-
Cords
cords.
are still there. Jennifer.
There's yeah. The only way we can get rid of that, according to maintenance, I'll sick Joe on it, the new Joe 2.0, but would be to just get rid of those blinds that go up and down.
Oh, they kind of
No,
need
I'm
those.
talking
I
about the children's desk computer
Oh, the
cords.
desk
that
computer?
area.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah,
The bane of my library existence.
yeah, that area.
How many years have I been on building and grounds?
think. Anyway,
And
okay,
then
well
the
that's
other
good to
thing
know. Yeah.
that we did was we're switching the capital improvement
Yeah.
requests to get the carpeting.
Matching carpet.
Yeah, to get the matching carpeting, so we make sure that we're still able to get the matching carpeting. And other than that, I think that's about it.
Good job. Nice. Good.
we have
Thank
a
you
good
all.
leader.
Yeah. Okay. Jennifer, your report. Going over.
Yeah, this, how much time do we
I
have?
know.
You can tell it's still humid in here. We've got caution signs all over the place because the tiles are wet and slippery. The boilers, there was some progress made on the boilers this morning. I came in, I was so happy I saw the Brennan truck. And I smiled. There's 3 Brennan trucks and I smiled
Yay.
really big. So the boilers are one step closer to being operational. They still have to, because they're evidently, they put the boilers up there,
Mhm.
but they have to fabricate a lot of things at their,
Yeah.
Yeah, their duct stuff.
yeah, to make them fit in that area. So that's what they're doing right now, but it is closer. They were up there working on it today, so it's definitely making
Way to
progress.
push back on the AC.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
So I got that bill waived, but there might be another bill coming up, and Joe's gonna be talking to the city, because we don't know whose responsibility it is, but there's an apron, it's called an apron, with the AC that's gone, and so there will be an expense for that, and I said, would that be a city expense or a library expense? He goes, I have to figure it out, so, just a little warning.
Mhm.
It's always something. So the air chiller will be this fall. If it's not this fall, I'm gonna scream at them, lose my, so it has to be this fall. The LED lighting, the can lighting was not part of the original scope of the lighting project, so they're getting a quote to convert them all to LED. I don't know if that's something we wanna do, if we wanna just leave the can lighting as is. I'll wait And also, I don't know, okay, can I talk the city into paying for that too? The control upgrades, they're pretty much done. JCI's only, Joe doesn't know how to do any of it yet. And they're waiting until the new boilers and air chiller. And,
I still have a problem with that.
yeah, so
Because nobody here knows how to control the environment here, and they're saying not until after November when all this is installed, and then if there's a delay on that, and that was an issue that one weekend, and Jennifer couldn't get a hold of anybody, so.
I don't know if that'll happen again, just because I really,
So I thought when I was in here a couple weeks ago, Joe 2.0 said he was going to be trained that week or something like that.
I don't know if he has. I'll talk to him, but I don't think.
So
he-
that's, according to this,
I think that was his hope.
oh, okay, all right. Okay, I
But
thought he
as
had a
far as-
meeting set with somebody
As
that
far as
that
I
was
know,
gonna happen.
I'll double check, but as far as I know, it's still just Johnson Controls, but I will talk with Joe and see
Okay.
if that changed.
How's Leonard been? Has he
I was going
been
to
a
say
bit more
it.
responsive? I would say you've got a great argument for getting Joe 2.0 trained because of that situation.
Right.
And if, God forbid, it happens again, we've got somebody who can handle it.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, and then once the new boilers once everything's good to go, then they can train them on that also.
Right.
But
I
why?
don't know how intensive the training,
Well,
but
no
I will
one knows.
ask Joe.
Okay.
And then the RFID has been another problem, so, but I had a good talk with the guy in Australia. And like really, this has been the most productive talk I've had with anybody. So I'm like, he told me I can call him anytime as long as it's at like 5 or 6 p.m. because that's like 7 o'clock in the morning their time. So I'm like, okay, I won't call you until later in the afternoon.
Right.
But he's like, you can call me anytime. So so they figured out, because we're no longer the only library having issues. We're now, because as they're unrolling all the P2 machines across the libraries, the world, other libraries are starting to have are
The
having
same
problems with those old tags, which he said RFID tags technically usually last about 10 to 15 years. So the fact that ours are 19 years, the ones that we're having problems with are like 15 to 19 years old, is like incredible that they're still working. He said, but so they'll have to replace the pad and the antenna. Antenna has to be a lot stronger to pick up those old tags.
Okay.
So that's what they're going to be doing. They dispatched the parts, so I should be getting them pretty soon. And then I'm supposed to call them, and they're bringing somebody up from Dallas to install. So yeah,
All right.
that's it. And that, if it doesn't fix the problem for good, I'm going to sit down on the floor and cry.
Surprised
That'll-
you haven't
that'll fix
already.
And then our quote for Hoopla again.
Yeah.
I talked to Steve, and it's going to be on the agenda in August to talk about alternatives. How can we get something that will kind of be like Hoopla, but we don't have to pay as much as Hoopla? And part of the conversation is just padding the Advantage account and creating a larger Lucky Day collection in Libby. So that's kind of what we're thinking right now.
Mary's gonna be going to college this fall, so
So
it'll be fine. to
That'll
talk
save
about
us a few $1,000
Got any more kids?
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to mention too, somebody from the League of Women Voters approached me about having a table out in the lobby, and they wouldn't talk to anybody. They'd just be there helping people answer questions about voter registration.
Oh.
And we did change I know that in the end, I kind of have discretion.
Yeah.
And because this is, I don't know, it's not, I thought I'd run it by the board.
We have to see what's involved there and
I'm not.
who's all gonna be there.
When do they want to do it?
Oh, they didn't have a date, just that they had.
Ask them if they're set up somewhere else and we can check it out.
I can ask that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
We-
there's all sorts of ways that we can have information about voter registration that
Yeah.
people can access online, and we don't need a warm body.
We did it last year. There was, what, didn't we have something where they could walk over? Wasn't it by the copy machine?
Oh, no, we still have it there. That's
Yeah,
a permanent.
A permanent,
It just, it goes right to My Vote Wisconsin.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was,
That's a good solution.
I mean, we've had that for, gosh, a lot.
and maybe
Prevent-
during
prevent
election
it.
years, you just advertise it a little more, make sure people know it's there.
Mhm.
So are you saying no?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I just think
Or I can
it's
get more
hard with our
information.
policy
yeah.
that we have to be careful about. You know, the Democratic Party was sitting by the flagpole last week or the week before. Now I know that it's a specific party, it's different than the League of Women Voters, but, yeah.
They can sit by the flagpole though, can't they?
Yes, they can. That's why well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right,
they
right.
could sit out there, so to let someone maybe sit in here. I guess, of course, the question would be, maybe at your meeting next week, are other libraries allowing them in their cities and municipalities?
Everybody, yeah.
You know, I don't know, but that doesn't mean we have to, but
Right.
I'm
You-
just,
Sorry.
Yeah.
to interrupt.
No.
You mentioned our policy.
yes.
What is that? And how many other policies do we have?
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah,
we
so,
have access.
Do you have her
to.
binder?
Judy, I've got to get Judy's binder back
Okay.
here, so I can turn it over to you.
yeah,
But we have to check it and make sure it's up to date. But
And we
all of
can
our
meet.
policies are online.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
You don't
I
have
was
to have a
fine.
binder. Our policies are online.
Okay.
So everything that's in the binder is under
The
policies
bed
on
bug
the
policy
website.
The
is
bed bug
definitely
policy
a
is a
one
big
that
one.
you wanna read.
It's a must read.
Yeah.
It has
They're there.
pictures.
Yeah, the graphics
The
are great.
Yeah.
You have
Good.
to have a bed bug. That was one of the
I'll read it
first things I
tonight
learned.
as I go to bed.
But if you're a paper person, I can
No,
get Judy's
I'll
binder.
look online.
We used to
Thank
do
you.
all paper, and then it was like, well, do we?
Especially for updates.
So does that mean I can give you my binder back?
If you don't use it, it's probably not even up to date. You have
No.
Oh, it's definitely not up to date.
Yeah, I mean, we keep up
If
to
it's
date.
like mine, it's
We
very
keep
fast.
up to date copies in the
It's-
library.
It's dusted regularly, but we have like a shelf of lots of different binders.
All right, so moving on.
Monthly report. Circulation was up, physical
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
physical was down slightly, but the e-circulation was up significantly, so that we were up.
Sorry, can I just ask what's about the ratio from online to physical? Like on average, is it kind of half and half or?
No. So we had, just for example, we checked out 27,000.
On the back, all the way to the
Right.
back.
It's at the
Right.
very last
There you go.
page.
Perfect.
We checked out 27,021
Great.
Physical.
physical,
Yeah, okay.
physical items.
Wow, that's-
And then we checked out 7,171
E
e
items.
electronic items.
Electronic.
Trying to think.
So
if
the
there's
physical
anything.
still is,
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Website visits were up, but that often happens in summer because people are
Sure.
looking up summer
Checking out,
reading.
yeah.
Yeah, if there's any questions.
Okay, any questions for Jennifer? All right.
You also had to save the date.
Yes, I was gonna say, is there
Passing
a,
this
what is the
around.
date for the fundraiser to the author visit? I know you gave it last
September
month.
25th.
September
I'm
25th.
passing out the newsletter.
So yes, the volunteer appreciation breakfast date is on here. So make sure you make,
Thank
oh,
you.
sorry, make note of that.
Oh, when you, oh.
And we even canceled chair yoga that day, so
Oh,
Oh, that was smart.
they won't come in.
gotcha. Good idea. All right. Anything else for Jennifer? Okay. Now we will move on to the foundation report. Annie, is there a report?
We haven't had a meeting,
Okay.
but look to the back of the calendar, the flyer, the,
Ah, there you go. Okay.
the evening with Nick Petrie.
Okay.
Jennifer, do you have anything? We have a meeting in
Um,
September, so.
So I met with Barb Wiesner and a volunteer who was interested in helping us run the rummage sale.
Well, that would be nice.
And we changed the name of it because rummage kind of makes you think cheap. And she felt like we had some very nice items that we could have gotten a lot more for. So we're gonna call it the Holiday Boutique and Thrift Sale.
Who's the new volunteer?
Her name is Kathy, and she runs, I think it's in Burlington. She runs a similar kind of holiday
Cool.
craft.
So I can't
So,
stick 25-cent
half-
stickers on there?
Well, no, because so the idea was we'll have the divider up and half the room will be more
Oh,
boutique.
boutique.
Like some thrift stores even do that.
Yeah.
They have like a little
Yep.
boutique-y section and then they have the regular.
So her idea, and she's run, she's
She
run
runs
a
this
lot
kind
of
of thing.
these things.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so like half.
We'll
of
see
the
how it
room.
goes this
We'll
year.
see.
Sounds fantastic to
Yep.
me.
All right. And what's the date for that? Do you even know? Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
November 1st, 2nd?
November 1st. Oh, I have to look at my.
Okay. All right.
I don't think it made it in here
That's
yet.
fine. Alrighty, and Terry, do you have a colon report this month?
No, the report can wait.
Gotcha. Okay. You're throwing us all off, Terry, because Jennifer and I finally were able to remember which months you do your report, and no, that's fine.
Well, that's a little confusing because the Council on Library and so forth.
Yes.
They're every 2 months. We're
Oh,
every 1 month, and of course the
like every other month?
Theirs is every other month.
Yes.
And then so there will be some. They're not doing any. I shouldn't say this, but
Well,
they're
no.
not doing anything in a meeting every other time that we are, or
Right, okay.
roughly say.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll get that schedule from you so we're on, we must be off.
I thought it was odd months. I thought that's good.
Whatever, yep. Okay, our next library board meeting is August 25th, 6 p.m. here. Does anyone know right now that they won't be there?
I don't know, but it's their
Yes.
52nd wedding anniversary that
Oh, wow. Oh, come on. Lori, it's an open meeting. She can come to our meeting. What a lovely way to spend your anniversary.
day.
No. Anyway, so you're
Nobody's
not.
left in the pool anyway.
So you're not going to be
I
here?
have to be in Chicago for work.
That is fine. Yeah, that's why we asked.
So there is an empty chair.
Nothing as exciting as that. Congratulations. Thank you.
Attention please, the library will be closing in 15
So
minutes.
do you think you won't be here?
Gotta talk to the boss.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Let me know. I'll
Defer to what
just
she
make
says.
sure we have a.
Want me to jump you? You're gonna
Somebody
go ahead
to-
and make a motion.
No, somebody
give the
to
report.
give
Oh,
us-
I'll get all the reports.
Oh,
in a
she
minute.
did. Oh, she did.
So somebody
I
will
make
put
a motion,
together.
we adjourn.
I
I'm
second.
sorry.
Motion to
Well-
adjourn.
Aye.
Excellent.
7:46.
I have 7:45. Oh, okay.